Welcome back, fellow bookworms, to Cliffhangers and Page Turners. Ready for another deep dive?
Always excited to crack open a new world.
Well, this time, we're strapping in for episode 9. Get ready to explore Toothsucker.
Oh, yeah! Toothsucker by Kaden Love, right?
You got it.
It's pretty, out there.
Out there is putting it mildly.
Yeah.
But that's what we're here for, right?
Absolutely. Diving headfirst into the weird and wonderful.
Exactly. And Toothsucker definitely promises both.
So give us the rundown. What's the setup?
Buckle up. We're talking about a future United States, now called the Republic of Capital. But this isn't your typical America.
Okay, I'm intrigued already. What's different?
Well, imagine a society where light is everything.
Light. Like literal light.
Literal light. It's their currency, their power source, everything.
Wow. That's a unique concept.
It is. And it creates a really stark social hierarchy.
I can see that. Like, who gets the good light, right?
Right. You've got your red light districts at the bottom.
Makes sense. Kind of like our world, in a way, I guess.
Yes, sort of.
Yeah.
But then you climb the spectrum. Orange, yellow, green, blue, all the way up to violet at the very top.
Violet. Like royalty or something?
It's more than just color. It's about the actual power the light holds.
Huh. So it's like the brighter your light, the more powerful you are.
You got it. And we're not even talking about money yet. This is just basic access to energy.
So life in the red light district must be pretty rough.
You could say that. Especially with this disease running rampant called tech bone.
Tech bone, I saw that in my notes, but what is it exactly?
It basically makes your bones brittle and weak. Think osteoporosis, but way worse.
Ouch. Sounds painful. And debilitating, I imagine.
It is, and that's where things get even more complicated.
More complicated how?
There's this company, Kaden Health. They pretty much run the pharmaceuticals in the Republic.
Big pharma, huh? Always got to be involved.
Yeah, and they've got this drug, acrepinate, that treats tech bone symptoms.
Okay, that sounds helpful at least.
It is, but there's a catch.
There's always a catch.
You have to take it for life.
Ah, so they've got everyone hooked.
Pretty much. And it makes you wonder who really benefits from this system.
Right, right. So where does our main character, Petya, fit into all of this?
Petya's where things get really interesting. He's got this unique condition.
Unique how?
To survive, he has to consume teeth.
He has to. Consume teeth?
Yeah. Freshly extracted teeth.
Okay, that's a bit much, even for me.
It's definitely one of the more, shall we say, memorable elements of the book.
So he's like a vampire, but for teeth?
It's not quite vampirism. It's tied to this implant he has, something called a bite.
Bite. Like a bite implant.
Right. It's a hypothalamic implant, actually. Gives him enhanced abilities.
But at the cost of having to eat teeth.
Exactly. It's a gruesome trade-off.
And I bet that leads to some serious moral dilemmas.
You bet it does. I mean, where does he even get the teeth?
Yeah, good question. You can't exactly pop down to the supermarket for those.
Well, that's part of what makes the book so fascinating.
So walk us through it. How does this whole tooth thing actually work in the story?
So in one scene, we see Petya in the act. It's almost clinical how he describes it.
Clinical, like he's a dentist gone rogue.
Not exactly. It's more like he's desensitized to it. He's been doing it for so long.
I guess when it's a matter of survival, you adapt.
Exactly. But you could still see the struggle in him. He talks about how he used to feel guilty, but...
But the guilt fades over time.
Yeah. Necessity can warp your morals in ways you never expect.
That's a heavy thought.
It is. And it makes you think about what you would do in that situation.
I'd like to think I'd find another way. But who knows?
That's the point, isn't it? This book really forces you to confront those uncomfortable questions.
So what about the other characters? Are there others like Petya?
We meet a few. There's Tavon, Relia, and Ollie. They all seem to be connected to this guy, Deleon.
Deleon, what's his deal?
He's a bit of a mystery. He gives them missions, often dangerous ones.
Like what kind of missions?
Eliminating witnesses, things like that. Not exactly legal stuff.
Sounds shady.
Yeah. But he seems to have some leverage over them.
Maybe he's the one supplying Petya's teeth.
It's possible. But it's more than that. He dangles the promise of a cure for tech bone.
Ah, so he's playing on their desperation.
Exactly. And they're all desperate in their own ways.
Especially Petya, with his dietary needs.
Right. So they're stuck in this cycle of doing his dirty work in exchange for a sliver of hope.
Doesn't sound like a good situation to be in.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But it makes for a gripping story.
So what kind of world are they living in besides the whole light thing?
Well, technology is everywhere. It's really advanced.
What kind of technology are we talking about?
They have these things called neurospaces. They're like implants that allow you to communicate instantly, access entertainment.
Sounds kind of like the internet in your brain.
Yeah, something like that. Petty even talks about his music playlists in his neurospace.
Interesting. So even in this crazy world, people still want their tunes.
Music, games, it's all there. And they can even manipulate light with their neurospaces.
Seriously, light as a weapon.
You got it. They can use it offensively, defensively.
So it's not just about who has the brightest light, it's about how you use it.
Exactly. Makes the whole social hierarchy even more complex.
Yeah, I can see that. Power dynamics get really messy when you can literally weaponize light.
Right. And then you've got this whole other layer of technology with these sosatabs.
Sosatabs? What are those?
Think mood-altering drugs, but super advanced. They can make you feel love, appreciation.
Like artificial emotions?
Pretty much. Petya uses them sometimes. Says they help him cope with, well, everything.
I can understand that. This world sounds pretty harsh.
It is. And it makes you think about the lengths we'll go to for connection, even if it's fake.
Yeah, that's a bit unsettling. So tell me more about this DeLeon guy. Is he just a power-hungry jerk?
He's definitely got an agenda. He's obsessed with techbone, trying to find a cure.
Maybe he's not so bad after all.
Maybe not. But there's this other company, Osteolite, that's also researching techbone.
So there's competition in the big pharma world.
Big time. And it's not always friendly competition. There are hints of sabotage, even violence.
Sounds like our world again.
Sadly, yeah. But it makes you think about the true motives behind these corporations. Are they really trying to help people?
Or just profit off their suffering.
Exactly. And Petty is caught in the middle of it all. He has his own past trauma. He mentions being a refugee.
A refugee? From where?
It's not entirely clear. But it seems like he's been running from something for a long time.
So he finds a sort of family with this group, even if they're all messed up.
Yeah, in a way. They have this dark humor, a shared understanding of hardship.
Makes sense. When you're constantly facing danger, you need that kind of connection.
Absolutely. But the violence is always present. Pitch is not afraid to get his hands dirty.
Makes sense. If you have to eat teeth to survive, I guess you learn to fight for them.
Right. And there's always this tension because he needs those teeth, but he can't risk exposure.
A delicate balance.
Very delicate. And then this new guy gets thrown into the mix. Boy band.
A boy band? Seriously?
Yeah. Petty's not too fond of him at first. He's kind of naive, from a more privileged background.
A fish out of water?
Totally. But Petya finds himself taking on a mentor role.
Huh. Maybe there's more to him than just a tooth-eating survivor.
Maybe. And their journey takes them through some pretty rough parts of the Republic. The Orange District is particularly bad.
Orange District. So this is where the light hierarchy gets really visible.
Oh, yeah. It's all run-down buildings, desperation. Really shows the inequality.
Makes you think about how much we take for granted, even our basic infrastructure.
Definitely. And then it gets even weirder when they reach the Red District.
Weirder how?
They encounter these things called jellykens. They're basically boneless, but alive. Creepy stuff.
Sounds like something out of a horror movie.
It is. And DeLeon is super interested.
Maybe they're connected to Techbone.
Possibly. Or maybe something even bigger. We also get these hints about a war going on.
A war? With who?
Something about Arabasia. It's all a bit vague, but it seems like this war is tied to the whole light situation.
So light's not just currency, it's a weapon on a global scale.
It's starting to look that way. And then there are these glow bones.
Glow bones. What are those?
Imagine skeletons, but glowing and super aggressive.
Yeah.
They're practically indestructible.
Okay, that's terrifying.
It is. It really drives home how dangerous this world is, especially in the lower districts.
And then this pop star gets thrown into the mix.
Yep. Naoma, the neon idol. She gets captured by this corporation, TechFax.
What do they want with a pop star?
Propaganda. They want to use her fame to control people.
Classic move.
It is. But Naoma's not having it. She wants out.
Sounds like she and Petya might have something in common.
You're right. And they do end up joining forces, along with Boy Band.
So they're like a ragtag team of rebels.
Someone like that. They're all trying to break free from this oppressive system.
Good for them. I'm rooting for them already.
Me too. And their escape takes them to Boy Band's family estate. It's in the yellow and green districts.
So they get a taste of the good life for a bit.
Sort of. It's definitely a different world. But there are still shadows lurking. boy band's parents are dead.
And he thinks DeLeon might be responsible.
Yeah, he doesn't trust him at all. Thinks there's a conspiracy.
Sounds like we're heading for a showdown.
We are. But things get even more complicated when Petya starts hearing this voice.
Like in his head.
Yeah. And it mentions something called anti-spectrum.
Anti-spectrum, what's that?
That's the million-dollar question. It seems like there's more to this world than meets the eye. Maybe even something supernatural.
Okay, now I'm really hooked. So what happens in the final showdown?
Well, they confront DeLeon, and he drops this bombshell explanation for everything.
Like everything.
Pretty much. He talks about light souls, this idea that light is more than just energy. It's the essence of being.
Whoa. That's a pretty big concept.
It is.
Yeah.
And DeLeon thinks he can control it.
Yeah.
He wants to use this knowledge for power.
Sounds like a classic villain move.
He definitely goes full-on megalomaniac. But then we get another twist.
Another twist, what now?
Those freakish ghosts Petya's been seeing.
Yeah, those creepy things.
They're connected to ancient Arbasian mythology. Apparently, they're the source of physical light itself.
Okay, now we're getting into some serious cosmic horror territory.
Right. It takes the whole story to a whole new level. And then there's Dr. Putrin from Osteolite.
What about him?
He shows up, but he's not a doctor anymore. He's President Cutrin now.
So the big pharma guy is running the whole republic.
Yep. And he seems to be on board with DeLeon's crazy plans.
That's not good.
Definitely not. Petya's left with a tough choice. He can either fight this new power structure.
Or give in.
Exactly. And the book ends with him seemingly choosing a third option.
A third option? What's that?
He decides to embrace the swine.
The swine? What's that?
It's not entirely clear, but it seems to be this ancient, powerful entity connected to the light souls.
So he's going all in on the supernatural.
It seems that way. Toothsucker definitely leaves you with more questions than answers.
But that's what good speculative fiction does.
It makes you think, makes you question everything.
So for our listeners out there, what did you think of Toothsucker? Did it blow your mind?
Did it leave you craving a midnight snack?
Hopefully not teeth.
Let's hope not. But seriously, let us know your thoughts in the comments. What resonated with you most? What questions did it raise for you?
We love hearing your interpretations.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to Cliffhangers and Page Turners for more journeys into amazing worlds.
We've got plenty more speculative fiction lined up, ready to spark those imaginations.
And speaking of sparking imaginations, you can find more of Kaden Love's work at kadenrlove.com.
He's got some other trippy titles like Elegy of a Fragmented Vineyard and Duet of Pernicious Eels.
Yeah, he's not afraid to get weird.
And we love him for it.
Now, mark your calendars, folks, because next week we're diving into A New America by Aaron Morell. But until then, we'll leave you with this. In a world where light is life, where technology blurs the lines between reality and illusion, where ancient myths might hold the key to the future, how do you define what's real?
And what happens when that definition starts to crumble?
Keep those neurons firing, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.